What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Two for Two, your sports podcast for the culture, by the voice of the culture. I'm your host, Quis, and as always, I got my boy Nell with me. And we got to wrap this whole thing up, man. The Super Bowl is over. The NFL season is finally over. And we're going to put a bow on it for y'all today, man. It's season 3, episode 28. Enjoy. Nell, how you doing, my brother? I see you got your Cowboys hat back on. Season must be over. Six is
Only,
out of
only because I need a haircut. So,
touche.
yeah.
How you
So,
doing, man? How was your Super Bowl weekend?
man, it was good. I ate. Whew, boy, I ate too much. I almost ain't make it through the whole game. Thankfully, I got new life in the end of the fourth quarter in OT. But Super Bowl weekend was great.
Yeah, that's good, man. I'm glad you. What you have? What y'all throw down over there?
Man, it was wings, pizza, cheesy bread, cake. Like,
Nobody hates you at the gym this week, boy.
man, I hate myself. I ain't stepping on that scale for a couple of months.
No, facts. I made that mistake on Monday. Went in and weighed myself. I was like, getting a good four
Cool.
five over the weekend, but that's okay. That's
I
all.
already know. I already know stepping on that scale is going to disappoint me. So I'm not even going to do it to myself.
Yeah, just it's not about the scales, it's about how you feel, brother.
I
Don't
feel I
nobody.
feel terrible. I ain't gonna lie. I'm still feeling it.
It's all right. But look, we got we got some good stuff to talk about today, right? We got the Super Bowl aftermath, the Super Bowl fallout, right? As you know, or some of you know, or hopefully everybody knows by now, um, the Kansas City Chiefs have repeated as Super Bowl champions with a 25-22 victory in overtime for what was that? Andy Reid's third, Pat Mahomes' third. It's a big
Yes,
one.
sir.
So let's start it off now. What's your big takeaways from the Chiefs winning this back-to-back championship, man?
I mean, Patty's just that guy. We've seen over the past couple of years, the Burrows, Josh Allen's, Lamar's. They tried to thrust themselves into that conversation. Media tried to put those guys in that conversation, but Pat's just one of one, and there's a huge gap between 1 and 2. So whoever you got 2 and after, that's cool. But Pat Mahomes he's just on a different wavelength than any other quarterback in the game. Uh, they really had an up and down season. Weren't coming into the playoffs playing their best, but there's just something about that guy when he's locked in, and you give him a top 5 defense. They played fantastic the entire postseason against really some stiff competition. You just gotta, just hats off to them for coming to play. And Patrick Mahomes, not much else you can say about the guy. I mean, he's pretty much almost done it all, except reach Tom Brady and Super Bowl wins, which I mean, at this point, I pretty much just expect him to get up there, if not surpass it. Already with 3 and 4 or 5 Super Bowl appearances before the age of 29. Uh, just excited to see what else he can do. See if he can, actually get to Brady, get to 7 or get to 8. So,
Yeah,
uh, just in all of the greatness of Patrick Mahomes.
yeah, it's scary, right? Now, I think I'm right with you on my biggest takeaway. I mean, is firstly, Pat Mahomes is that guy. Like that contract that he got, he earned every single penny of it, and that showed, right? But more than that, I think just the Chiefs have the winning recipe. They have it all figured out. They have the coach. They got the defense, like you said. They've got the pieces around them. I mean, you ship out Eric Bieniemy at OC, and nothing changes, right? You lose Tyreek Hill, nothing changes. And it just is a testament to what they've built. Some teams just kind of have it, and I think the Chiefs right now, like that's that kind of like that Patriots, right? That Patriots dynasty. You talking about dynasties now. Can the Chiefs be the next? Are they the next big dynasty in the NFL? And I think, right now, there's nothing that can, in my opinion, um, really make that argument that it won't happen, right? Like so long as 15 is on that field, they'll be fine. I mean, as long as Andy Reid's on the coach on the sideline as well. I think just today maybe he came back saying like, I'm coming back for another year to coach. Like they've got it all figured out. You know, it doesn't matter. They got like, the guys, Miko Hardman. What are the odds, right? After what we said about Miko Hardman, after how he performed, what are odds he catches the game winning touchdown, right? Like, you know, just stuff like that. They just have that whole thing figured out. And I just don't see anybody next year, the year after, you know, and barring some crazy, you know, situation or circumstance, I think the biggest takeaway is that the Chiefs just have it all figured out. And I don't think anyone, I know for a fact nobody in the AFC is coming to take that crown. Maybe Burrow, if he can come back and figure it out, you know, that's your guy. But as far as I'm concerned, I think the biggest thing, man, is that the Chiefs just have it all figured out. And I don't know how you stop it. I mean, is there any way that you see this train slowing down?
I mean, look, I thought fatigue would have been one of the factors in them not getting to the Super Bowl this year, but obviously you see that didn't matter. No Super Bowl hangover. Um, a lot of people were skeptical of him playing on the road in the playoffs. Questions about his receiving core. I think they led the league in drops, or were up there certainly in most drop passes this past season. So, I mean, for him to still come out here and get a win, another Super Bowl win, which is it's not easy. And like I said, he went through some stiff competition. Josh Allen and the Bills, who I don't know if they were favored to win that game, but most people thought they were going to win that game. Then you go on the road again to Baltimore, and a lot of people thought Baltimore was going to win that game and get to the Super Bowl once again. And a lot of people, there were definitely a lot of people that thought at this point you can't count Mahomes out, but I think the 49ers went into the game as the favorites, if I'm not mistaken. So he just continues to just prove everyone wrong, and just like Brady was, he's at that point where you just can't bet against him. Someone's gonna have to prove that you can take out Mahomes before anybody puts their money on that or comes out and fixes their lips to say I'm taking this guy over Mahomes. You're gonna have to prove it to me on the field.
Yeah, exactly. And then that's what we talked about all year, right? Even going back to the NFL season preview, we said, you know, we might have put some other guys or other teams in that Super Bowl for various reasons, but we also said never count out the Reaper. We never bet against the Reaper. And sure enough, he did what he had to do, man. The biggest game of the season, 25-22 victory. So to you now, what was the biggest reason that the Chiefs won this game?
I'm gonna say the defense. Yeah, I think I didn't watch any of the post game stuff. I'm not sure who won MVP. I'm sure it was Mahomes, but I think that defense. Without that defense, they don't make this run to the Super Bowl. Without that defense, they're not in this game. You think about we'll talk about the 49ers, but uh, just a bunch of huge stops by that defense when it looked like the 49ers were maybe gonna create some a pretty large gap between them and the Chiefs in that first half. And 49ers, I mean, the Chiefs defense just continued to make big stop after big stop, holding the Niners to only 3 of 12 on third downs, key turnovers. So I think that defense, without them, I don't think Mahomes gets the chance to, show off his wizardry in the fourth quarter and overtime.
No, I agree. I think that the defense definitely stepped up. Steve Spagnuolo, he did exactly what he needed to do, dialing up blitzes at the right time. Trent McDuffie with that big play. He played a hell of a game, probably one of his best games of the season, arguably the best game of his career. That's the guy that you talked about, Nell, when I was talking about the defense, and you reminded me to say Trent McDuffie, right? That's an all pro. That's a guy that really earned some money, and it showed. And I think, I mean, obviously, Pat Mahomes played a big role as well, right? Throwing for over 300 yards, and he had 333, led him in rushing. I mean, that's a guy that, like, that's what it's like to put the team on your back, right? But obviously, the Pat Mahomes is the easy answer. With Pat Mahomes on the field, the Chiefs always were going to have a chance. But that defense made enough stops. Chris Jones getting enough pressure. I think the Chiefs came out and said their main goal was to make Brock Purdy throw the ball. You know what I'm saying? They did a decent job, with Chris McCaffrey. I think he had 80 yards rushing, but he had more. He hurt them more in the pass game because of the way that the Chiefs limited those big plays. Brandon Ayuk, 1,300 yards receiving all season, only gets 3 catches in the big game, right? George Kittle, I think he had less than 10 yards receiving in this game.
4 yards.
Yeah,
Crazy.
4 yards, 2 catches. Like that's a guy that we're talking about the top 3 to 5 tight end in the NFL. 4 yards, you know what I'm saying? Debo Samuel limited to 33 yards receiving, and I mean you made them turn the ball over, right? Christian McCaffrey fumble early in the game. That's not what you see normally, right? Brock Purdy interception, making the game hard. I think the Chiefs did exactly what they needed to do, and that's what we said in our preview that the Niners couldn't afford to turn the ball over because they don't have a wizard at quarterback. Brock Purdy played well. Like I won't say he had a bad game. I think he did fine. I think he's earned his stripes for sure. But Pat Mahomes can get away with throwing a bad interception because what he's going to do every other time he gets the ball. Doesn't matter what you do. You blitz him, you get pressure on him. He's running. He gets 66 yards on the ground. Throws for 333, and I mean secures his third MVP, Super Bowl MVP. That is so. I mean, all those things considered, that's why the Chiefs won that game, and I think they stayed poised, right? And that's what having Pat Mahomes can do for you, right? You're never out. I think, and we talk about Tom Brady and the likenesses in terms of the GOAT conversation. Like, why was Tom Brady's teams so much different than other people's teams? Why did the Patriots look different without Tom Brady, right? Why did the Bucks look different without Tom Brady? Because guys like Tom Brady, guys like Pat Mahomes, they inject a certain level of confidence into your team that at any given moment, as long as I got this guy that can walk out on that field and give us a shot, you know what I'm saying? I'm confident, and I think that went on the show in this game, and that's why the Chiefs won. But Nell, why do you think the biggest reason is for the Niners loss? Was it just the Chiefs executed perfectly, or what do you think went wrong for them?
Yeah, I mean, you could point to a ton of things. I really think it just comes down to execution. At the end of the day, they like we talked about, they had a couple opportunities to really put a stranglehold and kind of take over this game with the way the Chiefs were looking offensively. I think if they come out and they score on that first possession with McCaffrey, I think it's a whole different game. They come down, they march down the field 46 yards and 3-4 plays, and then you got the McCaffrey fumble, the first of his postseason career. Um, Obviously, defensively, the 49ers were able to hold up, get some stops on Mahomes, but they had some false starts that killed drives. You had the Trent Williams hold, the muff punt, obviously, which was a huge play, led to their first touchdown of the game. So I think it just comes down to execution and those critical moments of the game where they really could have build a lead against Mahomes, which is what you need. 10 points, as we've seen in all his Super Bowl wins, it's just not enough. So they had chances to get up multiple touchdowns, but like blocked extra point, fumble, muff punt. Like you could point to a bunch of things, but execution. Obviously, they didn't execute when they needed to, and costly turnovers. That'll lose you a game against the best. Your execution has to be on point when you're going against Mahomes, and obviously, Purdy, still had a solid game. McCaffrey over 160 yards from scrimmage. Like 49ers played great, and for most of the game, they looked like the better team. But when you add up all those critical mistakes, you give Mahomes a chance in the fourth quarter. We've seen throughout his career more times than not, he's coming away with the win.
Yeah, and it's uncharacteristic of the San Francisco 49ers, right? A team that all year we talked about how good they are at full strength. Like you said, they didn't look bad in this game at all. They had numerous chances to win. Um, but I mean, I point to those mistakes as well. The muff punt, the blocked extra point as well. Like those are not easy things to overcome, let alone in the biggest game of the season, right? Losing Dre Greenlaw to a freak injury, that hurts too, right? Like that's your that linebacking core for the San Francisco 49ers when he went down. I think I saw something like Oren Burks came in and had the one of the worst PFF coverage grades I've ever seen from a linebacker.
Yeah.
He gave up a touchdown. Uh,
The Chiefs were only averaging about 2.5 yards a play before Greenlaw went out. Like other than that, Hartman 52-yard catch for the safety just lost the ball in
just
the air.
yeah, like this.
And they were pretty much getting nothing offensively.
Yeah, exactly, and I think that hurts, right? Losing a guy like that is it's not the same as if Greenlaw doesn't come into the game, right? If he's hurt already, he's not going to play. But I mean, I'm not obviously that's not the biggest reason why they lost, but all those things together compound to make one big whopping L. That's a tough loss to overcome on the spot like that. A guy that had a great season this year. We talked about him in the preview. And they lost Hufanga early in the season to the Buccaneers. So, you get into that game and you got guys in the back end doing, whatever that safety was doing on that big catch. It's tough. It's a lot of things you can point to. But I think, really just seeing how much more poised the Chiefs were. I think the Niners really got like out of character, really, truly. Like even some of the pressures that got to Purdy. These are things we didn't see all season. We don't see um teams eliminate Debo Samuel and George Kittle and Brandon Ayuk in that fashion, right? Despite all of that, the Niners still had a fighter's chance. So, that's why the main thing to come back to is those mistakes. You can't overcome small things like that at all in today's NFL at least. So now we talked about it last week, man. But it's happened. So Patty got the win. That's number 3, third Super Bowl MVP for him. What does the GOAT conversation look like now at quarterback after this win for Patty?
I ain't gonna lie, if he can, I mean, he's like right there. He's probably, unless you're an old timer and you're still beating on the Joe Montana drum. I mean, I feel like he's got to be pretty much universally your number 2. Whether you want to call him one, I mean, honestly, I'm not really going to argue with you with what I've seen. His first 6 years of his career, and there's really no reason to believe that he's just all of a sudden about to slow down or play less than what we've seen at the start of his career. So yeah, I think if he wins next year and he three-peats, honestly, he might be my GOAT. Like
That's
as
all it takes.
as far as what I've seen on the field, like I mean, the brother might be the most talented we've seen at that position,
Right,
maybe.
right.
Um, I mean, I understand Brady in the rings, but honestly, I got no reason to believe he won't get 6 or 7. And
Mhm.
at this point, I obviously what he's done at the start of his career, Tom, he
Do that.
he kind of he wasn't a prolific passer the way Mahomes was at the start of their career. So I mean, yards wise, he's gonna break records. So I think if it's a foregone conclusion, like his resume is gonna be up there with Tom's by the time he retires, barring any, freak injuries, career threatening injuries. I think he's gonna have the numbers, and it's only a matter of time before he gets to Super Bowls because he's already proven like he's that guy. He don't need much to go and get it.
Yeah. And I feel the same way as you. I think so long as, we don't have one of those situations where he just hangs it up early and is like, I got 5, I'm cool. Or like you said, a freak injury that kind of sets him back. Every quarterback's record might get broken. I mean, I'm not overly well versed with every record. I'm not a big numbers guy all the time. I'm more of an eye test guy. Um, but with that, I think that he definitely has the opportunity to surpass Tom Brady. He just
So wait, you said you're more of an eye test guy. What should I tell you?
he's a better quarterback. Well,
Okay.
he's a better football player. Stay a better football
Yeah.
player. Like, and when I say that, I mean more so like the arm talent, the skill to run the ball, decision but Tom Brady had a different level of football mind where he processes things at such a different level that it made football really, really easy for him, right? Because he just
I'm
thinks
with
it
you on
in.
that.
Right. But Pat Mahomes, he's just so good that football is really easy for him that like he can snap the ball. Oh, a blitz is coming. All right, shoot, let me go ahead, what I'm saying, do my thing. And he can do that, whereas Tom couldn't necessarily do that. And as you see, like later in his career, the reason why Tom Brady was able to sustain, that level of play was because his mind was just so much sharper the way he understood the game. That's what makes that decision tough for me to put him over them, obviously, right now. But as things go on, that's why we'll have to see. Tom had that longevity. Tom played in multiple eras of the NFL where he could get killed to now where he couldn't get killed, where it was easier, hard to pass versus easy to pass. So, we'll have to see how things change and, as the game evolves.
Imagine when Patty gets that 10-12 year
Yeah,
experience and he
right.
starts seeing the game kind of like the great
Exactly.
quarterbacks
And then
later, after their 30s. A
yeah,
lot of quarterbacks say their prime, started in their 30s, just because
yeah,
of the way they could see and think the game. So I mean that's another component to be scary of when you think about
yeah.
Patrick Mahomes doing all this at age
Mhm.
28.
Yeah, it's gonna be nasty, bro. Because I mean, like you said, like if he gets to the point where he you can't show him something he's never seen before, it's gonna be pitch and catch. Like obviously, he'll lose Travis Kelce at some point in the next couple of years. He'll probably retire soon. Him and his brother will probably go be WWE tag team duo or
Hey,
something.
I'd
Hey, I
watch
can see
it.
that. I can see that for sure. Kelsey's in the WWE. You heard it here first.
Sounds box office to me.
Really. But it's gonna be crazy, But on the other end of that, man, Brock Purdy, we've been questioning the man all season. All season. I gave him an apology around week 6. I recanted my apology around like week 11, I think, roughly. But after this game, man, there's no questions for Purdy, right? He's the guy in San Francisco. He's a legitimate dude in the NFL. Or we just like, he's all right.
Yeah, I
Are we
think
are we Nick
he.
Foles in him here, or is he?
I don't think so. I think that was just like a once in a lifetime, just kind of freak all time playoff run. I
Yeah,
don't think I don't think we'll be seeing a drop off like that, but I think it's hard for a lot of people to let go of the Mr. Irrelevant tag that's been following him, his first 2 years and having all the success that he's had with a team that's obviously loaded with talent on both ends. Um, so I think there are a lot of quarterbacks and you put them in that position and they can't get the team to the Super Bowl the way he has. We about the injury he had last year. Who knows if how that game with Philadelphia would have went. But I think he's proved himself to be a top end starter in this league. I don't think anyone's putting him up there necessarily with the Mahomes and uh Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, but he's a quality starter that if you got a team like the 49ers that's loaded, you got good coaching, he can get you to a Super Bowl. And if he faces anyone other than Patrick Mahomes, he can probably get you a win.
some people have him top 10,
He might be. Like it's not
top 8.
look, we talked about how bad the quarterback position
That's true.
had
It's
been
like a
playing all year. So it's like,
one. Then there's like 2 down here,
but
3,
we had a
4.
lot of young guys like Love and Stroud kind of make leaps this year. And if they build on that next year, then the conversation, we'll see what that conversation looks like. But he was top of the charts in a lot of passing categories, passer rating. I forget, but he was
He
like
was number
top
one
three
against the Blitz.
and a
Huh?
number one against the Blitz. He was top three in a lot of QB stats. So I look, give the guy credit for going out there and playing well. I'm not going to criticize
He's
him.
no slouch. He's no
I'm not going
slouch.
to criticize him for what he hasn't done, but what he has done is, lead his team to the NFC Championship and the Super Bowl his first 2 years. Didn't finish the job, but he's only 24 years old. They'll be back next year with a team that's going to be able to contend and possibly win the NFC again. So we'll see. But I think he's proved himself obviously to be a quarterback that can take your team to a Super Bowl. Maybe
All right.
not be the driving force of that team, but he's a guy that you're confident going into the playoffs. If you have the squad that you feel can contend, that guy won't screw it up.
Right. You keep this team together for the most part. They have a decision to make with Ayuk, right? Ayuk over here, his family, his camp. They're making it seem like they're getting out of there, even though I'm pretty sure it's like he has a 5th-year option, or something like that. But with all of that, I mean, I only think Purdy's going to grow, right? So that's why I don't want to see a situation where he they wipe the roster clean or something grand. Like none of that's going to happen. But I think so long as they maintain continuity for Brock Purdy, it gives him the opportunity to continue to grow in this position. Like you say, he's 24 years old. It's his second year. I mean, it's his first full year starting. So I mean, kind of similar to the take about, Pat Mahomes getting better. I only see Brock Purdy getting a little bit better, a little more confident, a little more comfortable. I mean, this is a guy that he wasn't a bad college quarterback. He lit it up when he was in college. So I could see him, as he gets more confident in this system and continues to get more years on his belt, understand the quarterback position at the NFL level. I think he has an opportunity to continue to get a little bit better. I don't know if I'm going to say he's like a top 8 quarterback now. I mean, I'm okay with if you want to give him 10, just because, like you said, like the after the main 4 to 5 guys, right? It's kind of like, okay, who do
Also,
you know what I'm saying? It's like we want to put a CJ Stroud over him, a Jordan Love over him. You got the Matt Staffords of the world. Dak Prescott.
nah, don't do that.
No,
No, I don't do that. I don't want to hear the
yeah,
name Dak Prescott right now in any top whatever combo.
and that's my point, right? After a while, though, like you can analyze guys for various reasons, right? Brock Purdy did something that none of those guys did this year. Like you said, led in a lot of different categories. So you can kind of throw him in there wherever you see fit. But he's not top 5. We can see where he goes. I think he's definitely answered all the questions. I mean, what more can the guy do? I don't think the Super Bowl loss was on him. If he would have came out here and just looked bad, like during headlights, we'd be like, okay, you just time to pump the brakes. But I mean, he made some big throws. He made some good decisions. A couple misses that weren't necessarily on him. But I mean, shoot, I'm not mad. I'm not mad that the guy won. At the guy, I won't hate on him for much longer. I think I'll give him a pass. Uh, but we're gonna move to some quick hitters. We're gonna move some quick. My first one actually is a monkey wrench for you. So, where do you rank this Super Bowl in terms of, let's do like the last couple, the last 3 or 4, last 3 to 5, in terms of excitement? Because I asked that because I know a lot of people were feeling some type of way, I guess, about the Super Bowl. People like, oh, I wish there was more of this, more offense, more of this, more explosion.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I was like very much entertained in the first half just because for me, it was kind of like I want to see what stupid mistake each team was going to make next because you had the 49ers fumble, the Chiefs fumble,
Yeah.
49ers give it back. Like it was just like, it was just kind of crazy just
Mhm.
how many mistakes both teams were making in the first half. It was kind of wild. So for me, I was entertained by that alone. Um, but I mean, look, I ate so much food that I almost didn't make it through the second half. So like after Usher, I pretty much like woke up when Patrick Mahomes was driving down the field to try to tie the game up and then watch all the overtime. So like I can't really, say I was bored, but fourth quarter in OT, some good football. Some good football. I mean, look, both defenses, played with a ton of effort. You got to give them a lot of credit, for the low scoring game. Obviously, both teams had, some mistakes and turnovers, but it made for a great finish. That's all. That's what I'll say.
Yeah, it was a good football game. I mean, people want to see a lot of the, glitz and glamour, a lot of bells and whistles, big plays. You know, the ugly start was ugly. I remember I texted my group chat. I was like, "Yo, this is trash. Like, what are we watching right now?" But I mean, when you get to a game of this magnitude,
I was locked in.
yeah,
I always hating on the defense, man. Y'all be like, "Oh, everything's so high scoring," but then when we get a little defensive battle, it's man, this
I'm
is
cool with a
boring.
defensive battle. Chris McCaffrey just flat out fumbling, muff punts, blocks. Like, that's not defensive. That's just, what are y'all doing? Right? Pat Mahomes, all them boys out there doing crazy stuff early in the game. But that Super Bowl jitters, that's what I'm gonna chalk it up to. And as we settle down, it was a pretty good football game. Exciting plays in between here and there. But I mean, I feel like that's what you should come to expect from two really good teams. Like, this isn't, you know, I gotta be careful who I say here because everybody always comes back to me. I'm gonna just leave that part out. I ain't even gonna say nothing. This isn't one of those games where you should expect, just because you have a really good offense and a really good quarterback, that the team is just gonna go 40 to 30 or something like that. Like, nah, this is a Super Bowl. Teams don't want to make mistakes in these types of games. You don't want to put the ball in harm's way. That's why you don't see a whole bunch of crazy, gadget plays and different things that matter. I mean, we saw. I mean, what we got a wide
Yes.
receiver pass, early. Jawan Jennings, former quarterback, actually high school quarterback, when the University of Tennessee went him for a year. But I think it was enough. I don't mind it. I think last year's was a little bit more fun.
What was
Uh
last year?
Eagles,
I ain't gonna
Eagles.
lie, watching everybody slip and slide was kind of annoying
Yeah,
last year.
that was something. I think what then we had the Rams, Bengals. That game wasn't. I hated that game because of the fact that the Rams was in the game, but
It was a good game.
it
Came
wasn't a
down.
bad game though.
Didn't Cooper Cup have like a
He went
game
crazy.
winning touchdown?
Yeah, no, he had a good heat. Man, OBJ went down. No, that Jones hurt, man. But yeah, so I
Hey,
mean, I think honestly, I don't know exactly where I would rank it, but I think it was a pretty quality Super Bowl. I think a lot of people just, you know, I think it was one of those games where a lot of people just didn't want to see. You were either a Swiftie or you just didn't want to see Taylor Swift at all, right? So you got the people that don't care for the game, you got the actual Chiefs fans, you got just casual sports fans, whatever. And so I think in between there, it's hard to find a mix to make everybody happy. But overall, hey, a close game, overtime in the Super Bowl, free football. Hey, I'm not mad at it. You know what I'm
I was
saying?
entertained.
I'm not mad at it at all. So with that, man, moving forward, will the Chiefs three-peat? Will they get another one? They got
I
two.
think I think
They
they
get
are.
another.
I'm gonna stamp it right now. I tried to be different this past year and go against the Chiefs just because I thought I was gonna look like the smart guy, but I'm gonna just stamp it right now. We can come back to this in a year. Chiefs going
I
three peat.
I don't see anybody beating them either. I'm thinking about other contenders, right? I think
I
Philly's
mean, when
kind
the
of
offseason hasn't started yet, anything could happen.
it could, right? Barring some crazy movement and paradigm shift. I still just don't. Pat Mahomes
Yeah,
did not have the roster that we're used to him having. He didn't have a bunch of crazy weapons. He didn't have like a crazy. I mean, shoot, Donovan Smith got another Super Bowl ring. Like that. That's disgusting. You know what I'm saying? That's disgusting. And he held his ass off all game, but that's neither here nor there.
you
But
hate that man.
absolutely, I hope he listens. Uh, but no, I just don't. I don't know. I can't see. I don't trust your Cowboys, man. I don't trust the Eagles no more. The Niners. Maybe they can make another run back, but walking into that game and having to see him again is gonna be like, oh shit, here we go again. You know what I'm saying? So it's gonna be tough. Like Pat Mahomes is one of those guys, man. It just doesn't matter what the regular season looks like because when it's time to play, it's time to play. And I just think, Andy Reid coming back, I feel like they're gonna bring the enemy back on the staff somehow. Spags gonna still be there. They'll strike a trade.
Young defense.
Yeah,
Back to back years. They won with the youngest defense in the league
right. And
or youngest
it's
defense in the Super
easy.
Bowl.
It's easy to get guys to come play for you too, right? Like, I mean, you want to get another Super Bowl? Look, we want two, and we have a true wide receiver one. Rashee Rice had a pretty good game as well. I think he's the future of that receiving core. But hey, like you said, I'm not betting against him no more. I'm not going.
I
You
learned
won't
my
hear.
lesson.
Yeah,
This
you
was
won't
my
hear me
year.
say it again. So look, I'm letting y'all know next year on the pod, probably be what season 5 by then. You're gonna hear it all every week. We're going to the Chiefs. So, what do you think about the 49ers players? I think some of them came out and said that they weren't aware of the OT rules. How do you feel about it? I think that's really funny, right? I saw a tweet that
Yeah,
was
yeah,
imagine if they would have scored a touchdown their first drive and started celebrating like they
that.
that's
Yeah, that
that's
would have been hilarious. But yeah, like that was just like kind of crazy to me because this rule change was like 2, 3 years ago, and I'm just like, as football players, how do you not know that and I mean the rule change was talked about so much just because people were so up in arms about Josh Allen not being able to be able to get his second chance and try to tie the game up. So for them not to not to know that's just kind of shocking to me. Not that it wouldn't matter anyway because it's not like they went down there and scored a touchdown. So I don't even understand kind of why players were coming out and saying that
yeah,
really because it's not like it's something you not knowing that kind of really cost you the game. It seemed
right.
like Shanahan was well aware of it and he gave his theory on why he wanted the
Wanted the
ball
ball
first.
third.
So he wanted to get the ball third, knowing that if both teams score, it'd still be an opportunity. So um yeah, it's just funny to me. It's just kind of crazy that we've had this rule change, and it was talked about a lot when it happened because it was changed because of a pivotal playoff game that they didn't know that. So it's just kind of crazy to me.
Yeah, and I think Kyle Juszczyk came out today and was like, "No, we did know, but." I'm not buying that one. I think that's a little strange. They could have just let it go. I get it after you're just talking. You're probably getting a lot of crazy questions, mind all over the place. But like you said, it really didn't matter. As long as the coach knew, I mean,
Armstead said it like, "Oh, we ain't know the rules. Like they got cheated or something." I was just
yeah.
like, what are you saying, man? I was kind of happy. That kind of made me happy they lost.
Yeah, that's just one of those like what you regardless, you had an opportunity to score a touchdown, you had the ball first. You know what I'm saying? Like you could have went down and did whatever you had to do. You also had a chance to get a stop, which you didn't do. So regardless of what you thought the rules were, regardless of what you thought was gonna happen next, like you knew
And
that
I kind
you couldn't get a touchdown.
everyone's killing Shanahan for taking the ball at first, but I kind of respect it. I get his logic. Like if both teams scored, then we got the opportunity to go down and get the final score. Um, but his team couldn't score, and Mahomes said if they scored, they was gonna go for two. I kind of wish that happened just because that would have
Yeah,
been spicy.
that would have been ridiculous, man. It could have been hey, we love talking points. We'll take it. Give us something to talk about. But I'm not buying that one. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you said it earlier, man. It's all execution. Regardless, you want to go down and get a touchdown. Regardless on defense, you want to stop the other team from getting a touchdown. Neither of those things occurred, and there you go. You lose. We talked about the weapons for Pat Mahomes a little bit, right? All things considered, the way that the season went, all of that. Is this Pat Mahomes' toughest Super Bowl to date?
It
That Bucks.
might be. It might be. Ugh. Last
I
year was.
mean,
I feel like I kind of like this year's
the
receiving
Eagles team was
core.
crazy last year.
It was. But I kind of like this receiving core more than last year's. Like the Eagles, they were kind of fool's gold. That defense was barbecue chicken, if we're being honest. Even on one leg, Patty did what he needed to do.
Yeah, I forgot that happened. He was hurt last year.
Yeah, I mean they led the league in drops this year. He was on the road for the first time in the playoffs against the number one and number two seed, and then you go up against the number one seed in the NFC. All three of those teams, I think, top six offenses, uh, top 5 to 10 defenses. So I mean, he played against the best of the best on this path to the Super Bowl. So I mean, this one might be the hardest one,
I
but
think the road was definitely. I mean, you got to go win two road games against two of the better teams in the AFC this year. You beat the MVP and Lamar Jackson. I mean, you go down, you beat the. I mean, the Niners were. I'm pretty sure they were like the betting favorite all year, right? To win the Super Bowl, they were the favorite in the NFC. Um, all year we were kind of talking down about Kelsey and how he was looking and everything. So, I mean, hey, I wouldn't be opposed to saying that. I think he had to overcome a lot. Last year that injury, winning a Super Bowl with that injury, give you a little credit for it. I give you some credit, but I kind of feel you on that. I feel like this one felt a little bit different, um, because truly, right? Like I think this was
every
the first time people was really like Pat might not win this joint. You know what
and
I'm saying?
everyone we were all looking for reasons to not pick the Chiefs too. I mean, I understand like we talked about they had an up and down regular season. Um, but even then, people were just pick reasons up. Well, he's got to go on the road. He's got to face Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, and he doesn't have a true number one receiver. Um, Still got the job done. So I mean, hats off to the legend that is Patrick Mahomes.
Hey, Pat Mahomes is the guy. So I kind of touched on it, right? I talked about Travis Kelsey. We got to talk about the big talk of the time. Everybody was talking about when Travis Kelsey ran up on Andy, man. What's your thoughts on that, man? I feel like it was. I think personally,
Bulldog.
yeah, it was pretty overblown, right? I think we saw you sent the tweet, talking about if this was somebody else or whatever, whatever. I mean, the way I see it, biggest game of the year, highest stakes, and I'm the guy. You know what I'm saying? What we doing, right? The way the game started, as sloppy as it was, I feel like Travis riled up, and I feel like it's different. Like that team has that's kind of them, right? Like Travis, Andy, Patty, they all kind of, that's their little squad. You can, and it's nothing if we had that relationship, right? Like if me and you hooping Nell, and I'm like, Nell, what are you doing? I can get in your face like, what are you doing? You understand, I understand, and that's fine. And I think that's what more people need to
Nah,
do. But
we mix them if you pull up on me like
man, ain't
that.
nobody look. The point is, Andy Reid wasn't bothered by it, so why should we be bothered by it?
Nah,
Like,
yeah.
and that's my
People were acting like he swung on them, and
yeah.
I'm
That's
just
what
like,
I'm like.
look,
It ain't like he jabbed
it's
him. We've seen worse. Like we've seen college Jameis Winston try to chew out Jimbo Fisher before. We've seen stuff like that. Like we've seen guys get into it with their coaches all the time. Like this is the Super Bowl,
yeah,
and no
emotions were
more.
high.
Yeah, it,
He wasn't having a great first half in front of his girl. Only one catch for 1 yard. So I mean, look, like I said, like Andy said after the game, he's fired up. He just wants to help the team win, and like you said, it was not looking good in that first half. So look, he felt like he had to step to Andy and get his point across, and
look, man.
no harm, no foul.
Somebody gotta. I think there's a person that can hold. There's a person that can hold every single other person accountable. Somebody gotta have somebody to hold them accountable. At the end of the day, if Trav feels like he has that relationship with Andy that he can go and be like, Andy, what the hell? You know what I'm saying? Then who are we to speak on it, right? Like at
And
the end
then
of the
those are
day,
guys. Those are guys that have been to war,
year,
for the
year,
last decade on
yeah,
playoff runs. So,
yeah. I'm
um,
not hearing that crap,
if
man.
anybody was going to do it, certainly, I think he gets a pass
Yeah,
for it.
Travis earned that right, man. He didn't. I don't think he really disrespected him. I mean, granted, we
And
don't
it's not
know.
like this is something that we've seen on a number of
Right, right.
occasions.
It's
That
not. It's
that I
not
think that
Travis
would be
Kelce.
different.
Yeah, that's not Travis for to just be snapping, going crazy. Like, yeah, he's a high energy guy, but like I said, man, look, it just continues to speak to that WWE point, man. I'm telling you, it's coming. The Kelsey brothers, they're gonna have a crazy, crazy little tag team name, man. But man, look, to wrap it up, my last question for you, man. We ain't talked enough about the guy, and I know you know, but Coach Shanahan, Kyle Shanahan, this is now what? I think he lost in Super Bowl this year, right? Lost in the NFC chip the year before. What's that? 2021, he lost in the Super Bowl, right? And then
Something like that.
2019, I think he lost another NFC chip. And then we want to keep going further. Do we need to keep going back? Or you get where I'm going? You get where I'm
I,
going?
I'm picking up what you putting down.
Is it time to admit that he is not the guy to get the big one?
I don't know. It's hard for me to.
And I'll say what he said. He said, obviously to get to the big game, you got to win a lot of other big games, which I agree with. But we talking about big game. We're not talking about winning a big game. I think he can win a big game, but can you win the big game? What do you think now?
I mean, it's hard. Like people had a lot of questions whether Andy Reid could win the big game. At first, like
Yeah, he did. They did.
it's hard to do, and sometimes it takes time, and you gotta. I mean, I feel like I'd rather be in a situation where I have a guy that can get me to that point and get me chances to get to the biggest game year after year. Versus guys like McCarthy who get you there one time and then can't get there again. So look, I think he deserves as much blame as he does credit for when they win. Um, like I said, the game came down to execution. They didn't execute when they needed to. Uh, Thought they could have got Kittle involved more.
Mhm.
A lot of people thought McCaffrey should have had even though he had 30 touches, people thought maybe he should have got a couple more. Um, so look, he he's doing a good enough job to get them there. Will we get them over the hump? It's not looking good so far. You had double digit leads and every Super Bowl he's been a part of, including the one he was offensive coordinator for with the Falcons. So it's not a good resume right now, but all you need is one, to change people's opinion. That's the crazy thing about sports is, you can lose, and the narrative will start to be built about you. But if you just get one, you can cement yourself, and he's proven that he's going to put his teams in position to be on the big stage, in the biggest game of the year, year in and year out. So, I certainly hope that he never gets one, but best of luck to him.
Yeah, I mean, I'm giving up on him. I don't care. I don't think he got it in him. I think he got out coached in the second half. It's one thing to lose
I
him.
mean, does it matter when? Not saying it doesn't matter, but I mean, do we factor in who he's going up against? I mean, all his Super Bowls have come against people in GOAT
I
conversations.
mean, I understand that, and I take that into account. But I mean, we've
Like,
also seen,
has he lost to a quarterback or a coach that we've gone?
but
He's had the advantage there.
we've seen these same goats lose to other people.
I only seen Patrick Mahomes lose to another GOAT. So
Who coached them goats or that goat?
all you need is one GOAT. You just need
Okay.
one.
I mean, hey, look, I understand that point of view, and actually, I'll take that one. But I mean, I mean, it goes down to him at some point, right? Like, I mean, granted, coaches coach, players play. He can't.
He didn't tell McCaffrey to go fumble first
Right.
possession.
Okay, he can't.
He didn't tell whoever that was to muff the punt.
He can't. But that don't mean I'm not going to lose faith. I mean,
Crucial
if
plays.
you gotta get them guys ready to play now. That's his job. Lead men, make changes on the fly. As you see the game slip, you gotta adjust, make the plays. And I mean, he called a good game. I give him his credit. I think he's a great coach. But the question was, is it time to give up on him? And I think it might be
I
time
don't think
because
so.
unless he's gonna go coach the GOAT, guess who he's gonna be playing every year? Exactly. My point exactly. So, I mean, hey, you got to figure it out. Either join, if you can't beat them,
I
the
mean,
next
look,
thing is join.
maybe he
So,
gets there one year and he doesn't face Mahomes. Maybe he gets the Bengals the one year.
I
You
mean, we'll
never
see.
know.
We just said we weren't going against Patty no more, though. So, I don't know how that's going to
Yeah, we
happen.
not, but like, what?
Maybe you're right. If something crazy happens, Patty take a year off or something.
He can't go to 10 straight Super Bowls, can he? I might turn into a hater if he gets to like 6 straight.
Now,
I ain't gonna lie.
by that point, the consumer fatigue is going to be at an all time high. Everybody's going to be sick of watching this man play every single
It's gonna
year.
be the Patrick Mahomes Invitational. I'm telling you, man.
It happened. Look, hey, I'm not mad
I
at it,
hope
but
not. I hope not. But like,
it
shit,
I need my
somebody else
Bucks
got
to
to
get
step up.
there, man. Dallas got to get a run. Next year might be one of our team's years. You never know. You never know. But as far as
Maybe
it
when that boy JJ McCarthy gets to the league, maybe that'll be the kryptonite.
hey, what Harbaugh said he wants the Chargers to be Michigan West. When he draft JJ and Blake Corum and build it all over again,
Maybe that's the kryptonite.
look. I won't be rooting for him at that point. It ain't my team. But nah, man, that's cool, man. We had a really fun Super Bowl, man. We had a great NFL season, a great ride, man. We got 28 episodes, largely on talking about NFL stuff, man. Just on this season alone, it's been a lot of fun. Do you have any other takeaways from the NFL season or any look aheads, man? How you feeling about them boys? Don't take the hat off now. How
No,
you
I'm
feeling about
ready.
them boys?
I'm in
Are we ready
vacation.
to put the bow?
I'm in vacation mode. Don't talk to me about the Cowboys,
All right,
please and thank
I
you.
need you to put a bow on the season for us now. What's the final words on the NFL season for 2023, 2024?
Good riddance.
Good riddance, man. That's gonna be the bow. We're gonna put a bow on this season. We're gonna put a bow on this podcast episode. As always, we appreciate you guys to tuning in, listening, sharing, subscribing, comment on the TikTok, man. We got some haters on TikTok too now. I don't know if you be seeing it, but I think some of that stuff's kind of funny.
That's
Uh,
crazy.
but not many, just a couple. But anyway, regardless, we enjoy all the
Hey,
love.
if we ain't got no haters, we ain't popping. All right. So I mean, that's must mean we getting somewhere.
Somebody
That's getting
watching.
somewhere.
Somebody watching. So, we're gonna keep putting out the content. It's basketball season. Baseball's on the horizon. I know a lot of people like to ask what we talk about. We can sprinkle that in sometimes here and there, maybe,
We do
but
not care about
not
baseball
really.
over here.
But
We do
not
not
really.
care about
Yeah,
baseball over here. Do not
it's
start
just
lying to the people.
it's too much baseball, every day, you got a game basically to kind of keep up with it like we
Even
want.
if it was 2 games, like
Come on, Dale.
I'm
We
not
gotta
watching.
I got y'all. I got y'all, man. Go Yankees. So, we're gonna enjoy it. We're gonna wrap this thing up, man. We got NBA season coming up, All-Star break, All-Star weekend coming up as well. So, as we get down to the nitty-gritty in the basketball, it'll get real testy on here as Nell's Sixers and my Knicks gotta, duke it out to see who gonna make something shake in the East this year. But that's gonna do it for episode 28. We won't talk your head off at the ending. We appreciate y'all, everything that y'all do. Follow us 2 for 2 Pod on all platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, whatever, man. Follow us, show love. We appreciate y'all as always. That's gonna do it for 2 for 2. We out.